Kim Kardashian's Skimmed, that came out of nowhere for me. But
Yeah.
what a play. What
Yeah.
a play. So she's doing all the sleepwear for them, which is, it looks beautiful. It looks exquisite.
It'll
And then
it'll be funny. Just let me just jump in there. It'll be funny to see these guys in their great Kim Kardashian sleepwear, but then they're sleeping on a cardboard box.
Yeah, those cardboard boxes.
There was also controversy around women's swimming headgear, because apparently it doesn't fit the natural form of a woman.
I'm not surprised it got turned down, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
There are 5 people on that board.
Yeah.
I think 4 white males.
Yeah.
And 1 Asian woman.
Yeah. All right, everybody. It's Cash and Sport time. We are 3 days away from the start of the Olympic Games. Today is the 20th, and the first action gets underway tonight with some baseball action. The women's football team from the US kick off tomorrow against Sweden. South Africa kick off their first game in the under-23s against Japan. And the official opening ceremony will be on Thursday, SA time. That will be at 1:30 p.m. And yeah, there's so much to talk about with the Olympics. There's all the nice kits that people are going to be dressed in. We've got a nice kit this year. We've got Mr. Price Sport did some nice things, and Falskun over there on covering the feet. That's been getting a bit of flack on social media. But anyway, we've got a good kit. It looks good, looks decent. There's a few other things to talk about. Sponsors deciding to not flight ads, Toyota being one of them, and a couple more things to talk about with COVID and the fear mongering over there. But yeah, let's get into it today. Sans, what are you thinking about the early fixtures that we can look out for, the early stuff that's going to go on tonight, tomorrow, and
I think just straight up the top, let's just slight correction. You said Thursday, it's Friday opening ceremony, 23rd, so we don't
Friday the 23rd.
Friday 23rd, 1 p.m. We are privileged enough to have SABC free to air and SuperSport. We have no allegiance to either. Whatever you want to watch it on, watch it on. I'm excited, man. This is the Olympic Games. In my mind, I should have been in Tokyo, enjoying it from a fan perspective, from a spectator's perspective.
Yeah.
But we're not. We're in Joburg, and that's where we're going to watch it from. It's exciting nonetheless. If you haven't seen it, please go download the downloadable PDF with all the South African fixtures on it from Cash and Sport. Shout out to Navs, who spent a lot of time on that. I just did the pretty touch-ups. But yeah, as I said, Olympic time, this is exciting. There's different views of should it be happening, should it not? And I think we can't, we're here now type thing. We can't look back and say it should not. And we also don't want to downplay COVID because, it's been a year of tragedy. We've lost some, we've gained some. But I think let's touch on a few things. Let's be mindful. Let's touch a bit of a COVID. There are COVID tests coming out of the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
But to offer a little bit of perspective, they are very minimal. It's currently probably sitting at 0.1%. It's people coming into the country and the training camps. So it's not that, there's 1 or 2 inside the village, but those are coming in, they're isolating them and they catching them quite early. I did see some of the SA women's hockey team today. They showed their testing process, and they have to, I think they're using the saliva test. So they're spitting into a tube, handing the tubes in, the tubes are coded and go, and then they'll be, if you test positive, you get notified. If you don't hear from the officials, then you're fine, you're cleared. So they're doing that every day. So there's testing inside the village every day. We know, unfortunately, that Neil Powell, is probably going to be coaching from his hotel room. He tested positive, so it's not like he was a close contact or anything. He actually tested positive, so he has to isolate for the 10 to 14 days. And man, so we've had a few under 23 football players also test positive. They need to be quarantined. But I think the team have measures.
And I mean, to give people some context on the actual numbers, right? Thus far, there's 61 positive cases, right? And positive doesn't mean the athletes. there's only 3 athletes as at present who within the village have tested positive. That's 2 SA football players from the under 23 side. And as Sanani said, Neil Powell, who's the head coach of the Blitzbok Rugby Sevens. So that's 3, right? And then there's 28 from overseas who are outside the village and who are in camps and so on, but they haven't even gotten into the village. And then there's other contractors and staff who make up the bulk of the others. So really, honestly speaking, there's a lot of hysteria out there. You know, people are spreading fear-mongering stuff all over the net, and it's really unnecessary. It's not great for the games at all. And it's not to say that COVID isn't an issue, but if you look at the numbers, really, there's only 0.1% of the COVID cases is actual athletes. And even of those, they've been removed from the environment, they're isolating. And as San said, the teams all have measures to look after this type of situation. So it's really not a train smash for the teams. They knew that. The squads are much bigger this year than they were before, because they knew that contingencies were needed just in case you have an outbreak and you have maybe 3 or 4 players. You can quickly move them out and they can be replaced, not a problem. We spoke about something earlier, sponsors. Toyota's decided that they're not going to be airing any ads locally. Can you touch on that for us, Sans, and why?
So the more research I do into it, the more it's actually quite a great play from them. Toyota are a Japanese brand through and through, with great heritage in the country, and they understand the sentiment at the moment around the country about the Olympics.
Yeah.
So understanding that they've got the market share, they local brand, they countrywide brand, they loved. So why piss the people off more? So they reckon, don't flight the ads. We've got the love already. We don't need to sell our brand to our people. So they so no above the line ads. We've seen here and locally in South Africa that the broadcast partner for SuperSport is Toyota. So within Japan, they won't air the ads, which is just pure sentiment and basically not pissing off more Japanese people who don't want the Olympics. And that's a good play, I think, because you don't need to sell the brand to Japanese people more. And that's what advertising should be doing.
And besides, anyway, the global audience will still see the ad, so it makes really no difference, you know. You keep domestic tempers down, and yes, so no troubles, no issues, no worries, they'll be fine. And besides, we spoke about Rule 40. It's kicked in now. Athletes and their brands and their sponsors, everything's in line now. Everything is just operating optimally now, and they are trying to make sure that these games go ahead. So
one thing though I've seen that's going to be very interesting over the next couple of days is a few broadcasters, or call it media companies. So I've seen a few publications online using them, disfiguring them into cool images in what's seen as cool images. But I can, I think knowing SASCOC and knowing the IOC, they're going to clamp down over the next couple of days. SASCOC have the right as well to notify anyone who uses the Olympic rings out of play over the next couple of days. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's a license. It's a licensed image. You can't just use it, and it's going to be important. So if you're listening and you want to put the Olympic rings on different pictures or anything or promote, just be careful. Just jump on www.olympics.com or IOC Media, and the playbooks are all there. Just don't be caught using the rings in the wrong form.
And there's a whole bunch of things that you also can't do. There's specific words that you can't use within your imagery. You can't mention Tokyo 2020 or mention, there's specific words that you can't use. I mean, we did a whole thread around Rule 40 and the terminology that you can't use. Even if you're an athlete, by the way, guys, if you're an athlete watching this and you're in Tokyo and you're enjoying some YouTube on your downtime, please don't use your sponsors wording or anything like that. We don't want you to get in trouble. unnecessarily, but brands also really, please be careful around the terminology, the imagery.
There's a whole brand playbook, and
Yeah.
And I hope some athletes have sent it to their brands because it's there. I mean, the IOC have been very good in saying, here's a player's athlete's playbook, here's a brand playbook, so that because Rule 40 eased out a little bit from previous years, also, but brands still got to stay in line. You know, you can't just use your company brand or your company logo with the IOC or the call it the Olympic rings. The association can't be created like that because it's you're not a sponsor. So everyone must just be careful. Rather read first before you use them in conjunction, and just make sure you're on the right side of the rules.
Yeah. And talking about being on the right side of the rules, there are some rules with regards to opening ceremonies that have to change this year. You know, previously everyone would be in the stadium. There'd be this whole big opening ceremony that's going to happen on Friday. Stadium would be packed, explosive, pyrotechnics and all of that. But this year, people have to come in based on almost single file. You come in as a team, you walk through, you can't stay in the stadium. So how's it going to work?
I've been actually researching this and I can't find it down to the T how it's actually going to work, but I think the athletes would have been told by now. Firstly, the Olympic Games, Tokyo, I am expecting a shit hot like a display of everything. They're going to just throw everything at it because people can't be there, so we might as well enjoy it from our couches at home. So they're going to throw all the glitz and the glamour. But what usually happens, just to explain to people, is that athletes will move from the village to the holding area, so they don't go straight into the stadium. So the holding area where you wait, and you wait by country. Guys like the swimmers who've got morning heats, evening heats, they don't go. Like if there's got morning heats in the morning, it's your performance. You've trained all 4 years, 5 years in this case for that moment. So why go to an opening ceremony and just stand around, and then each countries get paraded. So you come in, as I say, Argentinas will be first. And then depending whether we being named Africa du Sud or South Africa, we A or S. So countries go in, and these countries all have alphabetical order, and they all have flag bearers. So your flag bearers is chosen by the country to represent and carry your flag. I'm not actually sure who's going to be our flag bearer this year in South Africa. I've tried to squeeze it out of a few people. So it's interesting who you need to at least be on your second Olympics to have it's a prestigious honor. It's a big honor to carry your country's flag. I do suspect that because of the times, we're in, they will come in and out. So it will be a filtering system. I don't see teams staying in because that's just creating close contact, man.
Super spreader possibilities. Yeah.
So that could, your close contact there is very high. So it could be a call of, Argentina, filter in, flag bearer out and out, which if it does happen that way, it's good for the athletes that are first, then you get to go home early and back to the village quite early. So let's see it play out on Friday. As I say, I've tried to do some research, but we're not quite sure how the ceremony protocols will work. But let's see what they come up with.
Yeah, and then we move on to how these guys are going to be dressed, right?
Man, my favorite part.
Hey, Ian, is it your favorite part because you guys were dressed with bananas and pajamas over there?
Yeah, because we've had some, you look at other teams in Ralph Lauren and you look at other teams in Armani, okay, no, so this can't be done.
So let's look at the kits, right? Or not even the kits, the gear. Italy are going to be dressed by Armani. If you watch the Euros, Roberto Mancini, Vialli, and all of those guys were dressed to the nines in suits. That's how these guys are going to look. There's going to be these guys look like James Bond characters, the Italian guys. They're going to look amazing.
So to put it into context and perspective is that you get your opening ceremony kit, you get your performance kit, you get your medal ceremony kit if you medal. So that's different because it's a different tracksuit. If you get a medal, it's a different opening ceremony kit. Your performance kit is different. So different sponsors can hold that title of, let's take the US because they're the easiest.
Yeah.
Ralph Lauren will hold the opening and closing ceremony kits. So they'll be dressed by them. and then Nike have the performance kits, and then something like Kim Kardashian's Skimmed, that came out of nowhere for me. But what a play. What a play. So she's doing all the sleepwear for them, which is, it looks beautiful. It looks exquisite. And if you know anything about performance, and it's something that Tom Brady often touches on, is that good sleepwear, the right temperature, room, lighting, and those things aids to better sleep. So
it'll be funny. Just let me just jump in there. It'll be funny to see these guys in their great Kim Kardashian sleepwear, but then they're sleeping on a cardboard box.
Those cardboard boxes. You know what it is, man. And I think it's been framed badly, being anti-sex beds.
Yes.
But in terms of sustainability, that actually works, because what do you then do with 13,000 beds after the Olympics? You know?
Yeah, so the beds, so the beds were made. The beds were made in sort of like so they can hold 4,500 pounds. The beds, they sort of constructed in a Lego type of format, so you don't need the screws and all of that type of stuff. You literally just get in, you put it together. It's very small. But it's it's also great for the environment, because as Sanani said, what are you going to do with 13,000 beds afterwards, and that people have already slept on, so nobody's going to want to buy them. It just makes more sense financially to make beds like this, because they're also rigid enough for you to be able to put a whole person on it, but then they're space saving as well. They're not made like regular beds. But yes, I mean, the internet has been blowing up.
It's an interesting one though, because Megan Rapinoe actually touches on it in her book, in her autobiography, is that they were done. USA Women's Olympics football were done with staying at the village, because we're professional athletes. You used to staying in hotels with proper beds. Now you must go to the village and stay on single beds. So I'm not sure where they're staying this time, but they're definitely not staying at the village on those beds. They're at a hotel.
Well, either way, whatever.
Money is nice, eh?
Yeah, but either way,
they've
Kim
got their private
Kardashian's
chefs there as well.
Kim Kardashian's beds are going to be on the athletes, and they're going to be sleeping on cardboard beds. But that's the word. Moving on to there's going to be
our kit. I haven't seen. Sorry, I was going to say I haven't seen our kit, opening ceremony kit, so that we've seen Max do a lot better, tighter, slicker fitting tracksuits. What we've seen some of the shorts and the shirts being modeled, but I haven't actually seen the opening ceremony kit. Italy, as we said, are dressed by Armani, so that should be nice. Great Britain are dressed by Ben Sherman, the Ben Sherman House, in terms of opening ceremony. And I think Lacoste have got the French team. And then who else is there? Aoki are doing the Japanese team, which is a nice casual wear brand. They look great.
It looks
so we'll
dope.
look out for that.
It looks dope.
There was also some people just
there was also a little bit of controversy around women's swimming headgear. There's a brand that makes Afrocentric or African styled swimming headgear, which had been apparently applied. Well, these guys had applied to be able to allow their athletes to swim in them, and the IOC said no, because apparently it doesn't fit the natural form of a woman, which caused crazy
so
controversy.
Correction there, it was FINA. It wasn't the IOC.
Yes, sorry, FINA.
Have got a regulations. I've got a regulations body. It went through the regulations body to be like, okay, this is a new cap that we want to introduce to the market. It is bigger towards the back to fit braids, afros. And I'm not surprised it got turned down, and I'll tell you why. There are 5 people on that board. I think 4 white males and 1 Asian woman. So I wasn't surprised it got turned down, because of the demographics of that group that approves these things.
But that's disappointing,
so they know
that's disappointing.
No, for sure.
It's the same as when Manfred was telling us.
Shocked? No.
It's no, but it's the same as when Manfred was talking about the board of Sebastian Coe's board.
Yes.
formerly
athletics,
IAAF, World Athletics now, right? And their makeup and the way that they responded to the Custer situation and all of the other athletes, just because you then get some diversity training, or make sure that people of color are on your board, so that things like this don't happen. I mean, this could have been prevented, really.
You know the line that got me there, it was in our opinion. So you did not do the research to go out and see what these cabs, so you do the research, understand that, hang on, there are a lot more Black people, African people, ethnic people coming into the sports who require this. And for the sport to be diverse, it's going to need that. Things need to change, not just the sport, like the people in the sport, but the rules of the sport will have to adapt to people, different people coming in, more diverse people coming into the sport. So for me, it was that line, that in our opinion. So you did not apply any, let's go see what, a Black girl from South Africa with a set of braids needs. What cap she uses. That wasn't done.
And where is the world's youngest population? And it's in Africa, right? Where are sports going to grow? You want for you to be able to, you want for kids in African countries, or Black kids all over the world, to be able to say, oh, I want to get there. That's going to make your sport grow. And this narrow-minded
new audience,
view,
new fans, new athletes.
This narrow-minded view is not helping anyone. And I'm really glad that people clapped back at that, and they actually went back on their decision.
It's under review again, isn't it?
Yeah, it's under review now.
Going back under review now because everyone was like, don't do that.
Yeah. But anyway, so the kids are going to look good this year. Now on to the last thing for us this week. We wanted to keep the episode nice and short. There's a few fixtures going on prior to the beginning of the Olympics, and there's some really nice fixtures going on this weekend as well. As we said at the beginning of the show, men's baseball starts tonight already, and then tomorrow morning SA time. So if you look at our Cash and Sport calendar, it's actually SA time. We've done everything for you. So all you have to do is just look at the date and find whoever you want to watch. But we've done everything for you. So tomorrow, USA women start at about 10:30 in the morning. They play against Sweden. That's going to be a very tough match. Sweden knocked USA out of the Olympics in 2016 in Rio. And the last time
USA beat them at the World Cup.
That
was that semi-final.
So these two are very evenly matched teams. There's usually some goals in these games because the USA women are high scorers. Megan Rapinoe, Alex Morgan, and them. They're a high scoring team, a high tempo team. So we can expect some goals. It's going to be a fun match, but also it's going to be hot. It's going to be really, really hot. There's already complaints about, and we spoke about the heat issue. We'll put up a post tomorrow about the heat, because the heat is excessive, 40 degrees plus 45 with high humidity, 50% to 70% or so. That's going to be hectic. And then, on Thursday, South Africa's under 23s get underway. They play against Japan. That's their first match, and they're in Group A. We don't know what the squad is going to look like yet, because obviously they've lost about 7 players. They were in quarantine for a few days. They only started training yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to be a tough one for David Notwane and his men, but we'll see the type of team that they put out. And then there's some exciting stuff over the weekend as well.
Yeah, let's just touch on it. We've got cycling on Saturday. Nick Lamini comes off the Tour de France. We've got Ryan Gibson there also, and we've got the hockey. Both men's and women's teams are playing. One is at 11:30 a.m. and the one is at 2:15. So watch out for that. We've got the rowing, the heats of the men's four, exciting men's four. We know they always do well. We've got water polo for the first time at the Olympics. So we've got water polo, and what else is going on? And a little bit of swimming.
2 sessions of swimming. One at 3 o'clock in the morning. So guys, if you're going to wake up.
Yeah.
3 o'clock in the morning. And then there's another swimming session at 12 p.m., 12 midday to about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So there's going to be sport basically all the way through. Until.
And then I think, and then I don't want to miss out is July 25th is SA versus France.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good one. SA men's football
under
versus
23s.
France.
Yeah.
Under 23s and SA men's hockey versus Holland.
Yeah.
So those something I'm looking forward to.
And then there's the men's triathlon race also on the 25th, 11:30 p.m.
Yes.
That's going to be nice.
Then probably our greatest women's cyclist, Ashley Moorman. Pasio. Yeah. She's on Sunday morning at 6-7 a.m. So exciting.
Yeah.
We've got a whole host of things. I'm just excited. There's no better time to be in lockdown, eh? We're locked down in our homes.
Yeah.
We can't do much, so just watch sports.
Hey, man.
I mean, we sprinkle a little bit. This is about Olympics, but I know we've got the British and Irish Lions test match as well on Saturday. Yeah. So there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. Relationships will be tested once again, especially because people will be sleeping at crazy hours, waking up at 1 in the morning. It's Get your coffee ready, guys. It's going to be hectic. But yeah, that's our episode for this week. As I said before, it's going to be great. The Olympics are going to be great. Don't worry too much about the COVID issues. It's very minimal. And yeah, we look forward to some great sport over the next couple of weeks.